Do you have the back end, all your email flows, your text messages, your retargeting, your operations, fulfillment, your customer service? Are things clicking where you can afford to, lose money on a first sale and knowing you'll make it back up with the second or a third sale? And that's where a lot of marketers are struggling, a lot of brands are struggling, and the same's happening in email marketing right now.
Hey everyone, this is Mark DeGrasse, the president of DigitalMarketer, and this is the podcast that keeps you up to date on everything you need to know when it comes to digital marketing, from the platforms you'd be focused on to the cutting-edge tactics and tools that are working today. Today, our guest is Dustin Lien, the founder of JumpX Growth, which has done over $35 million in revenue over the last few years for their clients. And Dustin was actually our marketing manager here at DigitalMarketer for a bit as well. So welcome back to the crew, Dustin.
Thanks, Mark. Happy to be here. Excited to chat things, e-com and marketing and AI and whatever we come up with.
Oh yeah. Well, the AI, I think you have a unique perspective because, you're working for Scalable and DigitalMarketer for some time. And so I know your e-commerce firm was still doing things, but now you're back full time in it. So I'm super interested to hear what has happened, in e-commerce just based on your view over the last 12 months or so.
Yeah, for sure. It is, we were chatting a little bit before we hit record, but it is pretty wild how fast AI is changing. A lot of the industry and marketing in general, but specifically e-com, because like e-com has always been a place where like an industry where developers go hard on SaaS products, and like there's a new tool coming out every second, and they're all like just slight variations of each other, and but the quality of it's kind of like a wide net, right? Like there's a bunch of new tools, but there's one or two that are good, but with AI, it's even bigger. It's like there's 100,000 that have come out in the past 6 months, but then there is a chunk of them that, five or 10 of them that are so good in the e-com space. Like it is quite literally going to replace, especially email marketers. It's going to replace email marketers who aren't willing to leverage the tools, like the ones that are trying to hold on to the way things used to be. And I say that as someone who is fighting that in my own mind right now. Like I can't just hold on to the way I've run clients in the past and run accounts. Like the tools are coming in and replacing parts of the job. And we can go into some of those tools and I'll give specific examples, but just at large, the industry is changing really fast, and trying to keep up with the adjustments has been pretty fun.
Well, I think e-commerce is one of those spaces, even within the marketing scope, where it's like, it's very data driven, very numbers driven, very text driven. So, you can make a big difference just by, automating some of these processes. And, in terms of funnels, like it's the most applicable, application is, how do you do a funnel for e-commerce? You know exactly where the product is, exactly what you're trying to sell, and you could optimize it probably better than, more abstract, say, service industries where you have to make that connection manually. So let's talk about those tools. I'm super interested. What are you using now?
Yeah, so there's a lot coming on the scene. So like these are just the ones that I've been using. The thing I've been talking to my contractors about, and just other people, peers that I'm working with and clients, is that there's so many, like I was saying, so many new tools coming on that you almost have to just show restraint and be like, we're not going to try all of them. If we try all of them, we're going to spend all the budget and we're going to spend all the time getting like mediocre results. So let's pick a few that we think are going to be around for a while, can get us fast results now, relatively affordable, and like go all in on them and see what they can do. So a couple that I've been using, one's called Skio. It's not, it's certainly AI driven, but there's, it's been around a little before that even. So I like it because it kind of had roots before AI got so popular, like they were already doing their thing. But it's skio.com, SKIO. And its main function, or at least how I use it, is to help with subscriptions. So people, order, like one client that I'm working with right now is they sell collagen and coffee and products like that. So like, consumables. And so people order those on subscription. And so Skio is a tool that will help you. It'll build your flows for you. If you go in Klaviyo, it's like one click installation flows built. I mean, they're not perfect. You got to go in and customize them, but just it's like the strategy is done for you. They use predictive AI to go in and look at when did a customer, like what's the normal cadence for a customer, even with other products outside of the one in your store. So they can see like their Shopify history, some of these tools, where they'll see who else did they shop with and what was their cadence of, did they stick around for 1 month or 2 months on a subscription. And Skio will go in and be like, okay, so they usually drop off, like this individual person drops off usually after 3 months. So let's work on some ways to get them incentivized to stick around to month 4 and things like that. So it's a really cool tool. And then they just came out with this thing maybe a month ago called QuickActions. Oh. And it's been my favorite thing to play with so far, because what it does is it'll get really granular and pull unique strings from an individual customer in Shopify and Klaviyo. And so you can say, if someone is like, say someone just canceled, so this is a flow I'm building right now for them. So someone just canceled their coffee subscription. Now, what's the reason that they selected that they canceled? Was it because they didn't like the flavor? They had too much in their cabinet and they just needed to like pause for a little bit. They thought it was too expensive. The product didn't work for them. Like, what was the reason? And so you can go ahead and say, what was the reason that individual person canceled, and then send them this email. But if they didn't, like, if they've only been around for 1 month, send them this other variation. If they've been around for 2 months, send them this other variation. So it gets so granular. So it's been really fun going in and building those and just seeing how it can predict. You can use so much predictive analysis that you don't have to do it in your mind. The tool just does it for you. It just spits out the results. And so it's like you kind of build these a scaffolding of flows, and it fills in the gap with with images or with whatever it's gonna it thinks it's gonna do to get that sale to come back through or that subscription to restart. It's been really fun.
That's huge. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't understand, the concept of churn and how, you lose certain people at certain times. And a lot of times you just kind of factor it in like, oh yeah, we have 30% churn over this time period. And you look at it sometimes and maybe you do like a quarterly analysis, but the fact that this thing just does it automatically and it's just like, have you tried this? Like that would be huge.
It's so cool. And it's, I think, like where a lot of marketers, including myself, and even a few months ago, I was starting to freak out because I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't know, like a lot. And to be fair, a lot of smaller brands are just using these tools and not hiring marketers or not hiring, agencies. But what I'm finding is the bigger companies are, they don't understand it either. It's really great and necessary for most brands to have a marketer in their corner that understands which tool to use, how to leverage it the best, build the relationship with the account manager of that tool. Because some of these tools are $500 a month; they're not cheap, but they'll give you a one-on-one account manager. So I'm in Slack half the day talking to the account managers or the creators of these tools, and they're telling me ways I can make it better, better use of it. So having a marketer in your corner as a brand to help you navigate this new Wild West is still very useful. And I don't see that going away anytime soon, unless you are a marketer who refuses to look at the tools and refuses to try to figure them out. Then you're going to be in trouble.
Well, that's a lot of marketers, unfortunately, where they don't actually do the analysis. All they have is maybe a system or maybe, their own tools, or maybe it's just setup where they're like, I do the setup and that's all I do. And then I let it run and that's where I make profit. But the fact that you can put this analysis just onto an AI and then it just happens automatically, a lot of times the client doesn't care how you do it. Like you could say like, I use this AI tool and blah, blah, blah. But they're not going to look at it. And then two, it's hard to implement the change that has to happen a lot of the time. Now, the AI tool makes it easier, but they're not going to understand even where to start on that process.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And what I'm finding most is founders or the marketing directors or whoever I'm working directly with at a brand, they don't really dive into it. They got a good sales pitch from whoever created the tool, and then they just slack it over and they say, can you check this out? And that's it. And they don't really want to, like, they're not excited. Yeah, like you said, they don't care how you get the revenue or how you get your job done. They just want it done well. And so um the the you'll be successful as a marketer. At least this is what I'm telling myself. I will continue to be successful if I'm willing to adapt to the tools and help the businesses be more successful. As long as the revenue is growing, they're going to have no reason to want to stop working with me. And I think that's just the nature of good business, is you want to work with good people who are helping you grow. If they're not helping you grow, they don't care what tool you're using or not using. They're going to find someone else to work with.
Yeah. Well, and that's totally normal. I always, relate services to, say, work on your house, right? Where it's like, if the gardener's doing his job, the yard looks good.
Yeah. Pretty simple.
There's no question. And for most departments, it works like that. But in marketing, you can be abstract, and you could, I hate to say it, make excuses for why things aren't working. Like, oh no, it's part of the process. Got to collect the data. Got to analyze things. It takes 6 months for implementation. And you could, those are real things too. But as marketers, it's easy to fall back on that as excuses. Like, oh yeah, it wasn't me not doing my job, and that's not why sales went up. It was the sales department doesn't know how to handle the leads, or operations doesn't have good customer service. And so it's that's why my marketing isn't working versus.
That's really funny.
And it's job security too. It's just work. But now there's no real excuse, because you could use AI to do the hard part. All you have to do is communicate and implement, which is a really important task, but do it.
Yeah. And that's funny because like a lot of people, and I mean, I think we all fall into this trap sometimes. I definitely have. I want to take credit for the good stuff, but not for the bad stuff.
Yeah. That's not much.
So it's like when there's wins, I'm all about telling everybody. But then the second something stops going, I go silent, because I'm like, well, I got to figure this out, or they're gonna notice. And it's but I feel like, especially with the how fast the e-com industry is changing, brands are aware of it. They're just as aware of it, especially like founders or marketing directors. They're very aware that things are changing quickly. So be a good partner, and be vulnerable enough to, confident enough to be vulnerable and say, things are changing really fast, but I'm on it. But like, it might take, some collaboration for us to get this up and running, but it's going to be even better.
Yes. Well, and you'll be way ahead, because a lot of companies are realizing things are changing, and even at really high levels, like, the SEO results are all over the place. Like something that has been performing for maybe years, something will change. Nobody knows what the change is, but all of a sudden these performing assets will just do nothing. And you're like, okay, what do I do next? The rules aren't happening anymore. And so, you need one.
And I was talking to a marketing friend yesterday about that, actually, just how it's kind of like, as technology and social media have both grown so rapidly in like adoption over the last 5-6 years, we're seeing a lot of brands and a lot of marketers who used to be really successful having a really hard time right now, because it's like those systems and those frameworks that used to be true and used to work, or actually that's not the right way to say it. The frameworks and systems usually stick, but the tactics that used to be the bread and butter of something working, like, aren't working anymore. Like, people are struggling with Facebook ads that used to be, they used to be able to get, 50-cent leads off of them. And it was just, that's pretty easy to stand up a business when you're getting leads that cheap. But when you got to pay $6 or $7 for a lead, or you got to pay $42 for a new e-com customer, do you have the back end, all your email flows, your text messages, your retargeting, your operations, fulfillment, your customer service? Are things clicking where you can afford to, lose money on a first sale, and knowing you'll make it back up with the second or a third sale? And that's where a lot of marketers are struggling, a lot of brands are struggling, and the same's happening in email marketing right now. With these tools changing, and it's making, founders love it. Like, the businesses love it because it's making it easier, but marketers are struggling to keep up with it. And marketers, I'm saying that as one, most marketers have a little chip on their shoulder and a little bit of an ego about being good, right? I think it's why, because marketing in and of itself is about results. So we all want to get results. We don't like to admit when we got something wrong or we're relearning something. So a lot of marketers that used to be successful are doing exactly what you said and making excuses for why they can't get results right now, instead of going back to the drawing board, eating some humble pie and being like, I got to figure this out. Go back to the roots of, how do these frameworks, how can we work within these existing frameworks like customer value journey? It's not going to change, doesn't need to change. It's a framework, and it's you just follow the framework. But the tactics you're using to advance someone through that journey are always going to be changing. That's just part of marketing.
Yeah, well, and the tools are better, frankly, because I think that the reason why, a lot of people are able to have like a 10, 15 year long, super successful marketing career without changing very much is because things just weren't moving very fast. There weren't new tools. We were all relying on Facebook ads and Google ads and Google SEO results. That was like the bread and butter of marketing. If you can figure those out and optimize the system one time, you'll probably get super results. But it also led to a lot of turnover of marketers too, because as soon as you set these things up, they're automatic because nothing is changing for the last 10, 15 years.
Yep.
And then you don't have to worry about it. Then all you have to do is make sure the client's happy and you maintain that contract forever. And so now it's not like that, because one, you have the tools. So anybody, say somebody who's never marketed before can start marketing right now using AI tools and compete with any existing marketer because they're adopting these awesome new things that automate a ton of stuff. And so you don't have the learning curve of, I need to understand systems, you understand how marketing works together, using a bunch of different platforms to drive results, or you just said, do paid ads and and you'll make money. Like, okay. But now I think since it's so easy, you're getting so many more people getting online and so many more businesses starting that know how to use these tools. And now you have way more ad competition. And so, and I love that you said about the lifetime value of the customer, maintaining that customer and maybe taking a loss to even get that customer is going to be the new normal, where and it's great for everybody because now products are going to get better. Customer service is going to get better. Services are going to get better because literally if you can't maintain that client for, years, you're just not going to make money and go out of business. So that's huge.
Hey everyone, I wanted to quickly interrupt the podcast for a special announcement. If you're a marketer, which you probably are since you're listening to this podcast, you know that social media marketing isn't about cool hacks or some weird trick that a self-proclaimed expert is telling everyone about. True social media experts understand this. Social media is a real craft that involves real strategy that goes far beyond flashy hacks. That's why social media is the #1 most misunderstood and underleveraged marketing channel. At DigitalMarketer, we know what you need to become a true social media expert. You'll be learning from top industry experts about the exact methods that work today for marketing on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest, and TikTok, and how to incorporate them into a comprehensive social media strategy. You'll learn how to tie in your social media plan with your company's overarching goals. You'll learn how to source and create engaging content that's perfect for your ideal customers. Best of all, you'll leave with a complete understanding of how to strategize, execute, measure, and optimize your social media marketing. Learn more right now at digitalmarketer.com/social-cert.
Now, you did mention one tool. What's another couple tools that you're kind of utilizing to make this happen?
Yeah, so there's another one. I just started using this one, so the verdict's still out, but I'm really impressed with what it can do after. I mean, I think it's only been they're still in like a waitlist period, but the tool's been live like 2 months. They just got some funding and like they're a really cool team. But the tool is called Tare, Tare. I think it's trytare.com is the URL there. But it's automating a lot of the stuff that that marketers hate doing, which is like basically like setting like an email template and getting in graphics and having the fonts look right and like the on brand fonts and things where like you would think you could just go create a template in Klaviyo or whatever you use, and it would turn out good, but it never does. There's always something wrong. You think you're going to spend 5 minutes in there, and you spend an hour in there because of like one padding issue you can't figure out or whatever. Or like, you have to go into Canva and design something, but maybe you're not a very good designer, so you got to hire designers. And so what the tool does is it'll like, it's basically like a one-click button, and it will build you an email to solve a specific problem. So one, for example, that we're testing using with one of the brands is like a they call it an upsell flow. It's not really an upsell, it's more of like a cross sell. But it'll be like, if someone bought something, this email will just generate, and it's beautiful and everything's, and they'll even help you customize the template if you like are really particular about it. But it'll just build a whole email, and it'll pull images from your Shopify site for whatever product. So if you bought some coffee and they want to cross sell you some collagen or something, it'll pull in a picture of the coffee. It looks great. And it'll generate copy for you using AI. So it'll generate a whole, and it's good. It's like it's not perfect yet. And but my favorite thing is you can just pop in there when you're in their tool, you just go edit it. There's like a lot of these tools will auto generate things for you, but they won't let you edit it. And that is the most annoying thing to a marketer, is when they can't make tweak something or make it sound like the brand voice.
Yes.
But their AI tool for the writing, it will match brand voice, because it'll go look at the website, and it'll pull pieces of copy, but then it trains the AI to then speak in your brand voice in these emails. And then it will look at your, like, the customer's previous buying patterns, and then be like, have they already bought collagen with their coffee? If they haven't, let's cross sell that. Have they already bought that? Are they a subscriber? Let's pick this other one, and another product or a mixer wand or whatever. And so it's really cool, and it's just one click. It generates it. You can go edit the parts that you want, and then it just goes into your Klaviyo account or whatever you're using for email marketing. They've got a handful of integrations right now. And then you've got the template in there. You can use it, you can tweak it. And then if you have an issue where you're like, because it generates everything, colors, fonts, it pulls it from your website. It's really cool. But then there's always those little tweaks. So they will work with you to get your template just right, however you want it. So that in the future, it literally is one click, build an email. It's really, really cool.
Wow. That's super cool. Now, does it integrate with other platforms, or is it basically the email marketing platform?
Just email marketing platform for now, as far as I'm aware. But they are, the team over there is really on fire right now. They're working real fast to get features up. Like, I had a conversation with them, and the same day they made changes and built a new feature. It's just like,
just based on your conversation.
Yeah. And that's what's cool about this time of the industry with AI is people are building really fast, because they know it is a bit of an urgent race to become the tools of choice. And so the developers and the teams are working so fast, and you can actually collaborate with them, which is why a lot of marketers and a lot of brand tools in general, is because it feels like every time you try to get some help with how to do something, you got to find some blog article on how to do, walk through these 17 technical steps. But a lot of these tools, like with Tare, they sent me an email, and they're like, hey, after our conversation, you mentioned you didn't like the way that it auto-generated the footer. So we changed the code to make it where it generates to match the previous email we saw that you sent, which we're assuming is the footer you like. And it was just like, great, thank you. You just saved me another 4 hours of work I didn't have to do now. It's so cool.
That's super cool, because I think, as marketers too, we have these tools, and we'll kind of shape everything around what the tools are capable of, right? We're like, well, I wanted to do this, but it doesn't. So then I'm going to do this instead. And so we're actually modifying everything we do all the time, just to accommodate the fact that the tools are limited. But now, and I think this is another feature of AI, is since you are able to write simple code, at least using AI, and it does need some refinements, but programmers could work a million times faster, because you're not having to make the basic stuff. You could just say, generate Python code for this situation in this circumstance, blah, blah, blah. And then boom, you didn't have to write that. It just happened. And so I think
Yeah.
That's huge. The fact that they can make a change that fast, and that you're talking to the developers themselves, because a lot of times there's,
Yeah.
or there was a barrier between, the developers in a company and then the marketing team and the customer service team and the executives and all these different things. And then they don't
Yep.
talk to each other very much because IT is like, we have too much to do. Leave us alone.
Yeah.
But now you're talking to the developers. That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm loving the a lot of big software companies, like, you're saying, they're bloated. So you can't really get something accomplished quickly or at all if you even get heard. So it's been really cool in a space that's so new, where people are working fast and you can actually talk to them. It's been a really cool experience for me that I haven't had in years.
Oh yeah. Well, I know for us, like working with, high level, they built their entire suite of services off of the requests of the customers. And then also cool. Content at scale, they basically talked to them one day and they're like, oh yeah, actually even Jasper, because I talked to the executives of Jasper about brand voice. And then within probably a month, they have their brand voice tool. So I think this is amazing.
That's crazy.
I think it's the future of all software and services is what the customers want. Sounds
awesome. I know, like what a revolutionary thought, right? Ask your customers what they want and build it.
Yeah, because and I always, I love programmers. I think they're amazing. They've built the world at this point online, but they do have unique views of how things should work that don't go in line with how the users work a lot of the times. It's, because I worked at a lot of startups with those types of programmers, and they do what they want because they're in charge and they're the only ones that could understand what the heck is going on.
True.
But I do think that, less technical people can now understand what's happening in programming, and now the programmers are listening. So I think it's fantastic. So I think we have time for one more tool. Do you have one more?
I got one more. So there's one I haven't played around with it too much yet, but it's one I've got a implementation call with them next week. I'm really excited, but just looking at their at what it can do is blowing my mind. So it's called Black Crow. I believe it's blackcrow.ai, and it's one of those tools where it's more robust than my mind has been able to wrap around so far. But this one specific way that I'm going to use it, I'm really excited about. So essentially what it'll do is it'll take so this is how I'm going to use it. We have like a welcome series, right? For new customers that come in. Some have purchased, some have not, and there's a coupon offer and, kind of standard stuff. But how I and every other marketer has been doing this for the last, decade is you build a welcome flow that's everyone goes through. You can kind of customize a little bit here and there. Like, are they a customer? Have they purchased before? Have they been through this flow before? And you can kind of filter out. But the time delays where you're like, after 48 hours, send this follow-up email. 48 hours after that, send this other email. And it's very, everyone's going through the same cadence and the same experience. What Black Crow can do is basically take your existing welcome flow, you plug in their tool to it, and it will customize based on each individual user the best time to send them each email. And it will also customize with put dynamic blocks in certain areas to make it basically predicts based on their past behavior and based on the behavior of the list in whole, when are people actually making purchases in your welcome flow, and then they time it properly to speed it up. I mean, what I've been told is that there's about a 40% increase in welcome flow revenue just by using their tool, and it's a one-click installation because it works on your existing flow. So it's not changing all your stuff; it's just coming in and supercharging what you've already got, and making the offers more on time and in a better cadence based on data, not just what a marketer like me thinks. Like about 48 hours, I'll send them a follow-up email because that's all we've been able to do and that has been a really, I mean, it pumps out revenue, but I'm really excited to see how, and I think this is probably the biggest change that I'm excited about in marketing, with AI tools is the ability to get really granular and specific, not just down to the cohort level, but down to the individual and their shopping habits and what they how they prefer to open email. Do they seem to open emails from brands once every 7 days? Do they open every email you send? Do they open every 14 days? Like, what are the random cadences that each individual person has, and how and now these AI tools are able to start marketing in that exact cadence. It's better for the customer because they get things when they actually want it. And then it's better for the brand because better timing equals better results.
No, that's enormous. And I think it's, your point about it being at the individual customer level, I think that is the future, where it's not just like, oh yeah, in general, people on this coast, this gender, this whatever, are going to do this. And you're like, okay, well, that's better than guessing.
Yeah.
But if you could know like the individual customer, that's enormous. I mean, that's a game changer in terms of the interaction that customer is going to have with your brand, where it's like, oh wow, this showed up right when I had a chance to open it.
Right. Yeah.
Like magic.
Yep, exactly. Yep. Yeah. That's a great word for it. I think like AI is not, as you and I both know, it's not like fully there yet. Like the tools, like, and a lot of what we call AI isn't actually AI. It's just good machine learning and things like that. But what's really fun as a marketer is watching how fast it's happening. Like it is like punching me in the side of the head every day, in a good way, where it's like I'm here and I'm staying. Like here's new tools, here's new things that the existing tools can now do. And like these features are coming out so fast, probably in big part to what you were saying, where even the developers themselves can leverage AI to write code faster and cleaner. And so what used to take 4 weeks to get out a new feature is taking 4 days or 4 hours. Is really fun.
No, it's huge. Well, and I think what's going to happen is you'll see these really big brands that have been really significant for 10, 15, 20 years are not going to be able to adapt, because the old systems that have maybe generated trillions of dollars in revenue aren't going to work anymore. And it's going to be really hard to convince them that this thing that made you trillions of dollars isn't working anymore. People don't want a vague experience. People want a unique experience. They want it specific to them, because if it's not specific, I could find a brand that is. And this brand seems to care about me and what I think and what I buy and what I do. And you don't give a crap. I'm just a number to you. And so I think the days of, just being a number to the companies that serve you are numbered. That's nerdy.
That's funny. I think you're spot on there, and I think so much of it is subconscious, which is what makes it really interesting. Like, I don't, personally, when I get an email from a brand, I'm not thinking like consciously most of the time, like, this brand emails me a lot, I don't feel like opening their emails anymore, or I just ordered this product 12 days ago. Why are they asking me for a review already? I only review things after 34 days when I've had a chance to try it. Like, I don't think about all these things consciously, but so it's like we're gonna make unconscious decisions. That would be an interesting feat. Customers are gonna make subconscious are gonna make subconscious decisions about which brands to buy from based on how a brand makes them feel. And how you make someone feel good is by personalizing it so it feels like it's for them. And that's what AI is empowering brands to start doing, is make people feel like you care about them more. And essentially you do, because you're adopting tools that help it be more personalized. And so people are going to gravitate toward what brands make them feel seen and heard and have a positive experience, even if they don't know why.
Exactly. Well, and I think, I'm kind of realizing more that it's about the community, because what you're feeling is you're feeling like you belong here. And that's where you're like, of course I'm going to go buy there again. They love me. They know me. They treat me well. Like there's no reason for me to even risk going anywhere else, even if I could save 10, 20, 30%, because I know what I'm going to get here. And who's going to learn who I am as much as this company already has shown that they know. So I think, those tools are fantastic. I think you're, on track for really understanding, the Web 3.0 e-commerce is not going to be what you think it is. And now, because I think honestly, consumers have felt like a commodity themselves, where it's just kind of like,
Yeah.
I'm just another number. It doesn't matter where I go. It doesn't matter what. I'm just going to base my decision on price and what I think I need, versus like, no, come to our community at, whatever brand. We understand you. We love you. We develop our products for you. And we're going to, know even more as soon as you buy from us, because that's going to dial our approach in. So I think you're definitely on track for the future of e-commerce. I'd love to have you back, kind of on a regular basis, just to see like, okay, here's the tools I suggested, here's how we use them, and here's the new tools that are coming out that are even better. But just kind of an update is like modern e-commerce. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Fantastic. So we'll go ahead and get that planned out. So everybody listening, stay tuned for more Dustin. In the meantime, where can people learn more about you and your brand?
Easiest place is just the website, jumpxgrowth.com.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Dustin. Great talking to you again. It looks like you're doing well, and you're taking on the world, and that's well, it sounds dramatic, but honestly, there's a lot of brands that are going to struggle to get through this process because they're stuck in their ways. And it's hard to say like this thing that has worked for so many years is now defunct and you need to revolutionize. So it looks like you're doing that, and it's very admirable.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me on. It was nice catching up and fun chatting e-com.
Definitely. And we'll do it again very soon, because I think things are continuing to develop really fast, and we need resources like you who are trying. And that's fantastic.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to hit that follow button so you get notified when all of our new episodes release. Please share this with that friend who's clueless about digital marketing. And don't forget to visit digitalmarketer.com, where you can access all of our courses, certifications, and training programs. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you next time.